You have rolled out your mat, set up your computer, found your little space for yourself for this next hour that's just dedicated to you. I'm really glad that you made it. If you don't know me, my name is Amanda McIntire, and this is the Monday night OLLI yoga class. I'm so appreciative to the OLLI folks and UVM's Continuing and Distance Education for offering these free classes for everybody. So hopefully you've been sharing the link and spreading the word. Last week we had a few hundred people participating, and we had somebody who wrote a note and said that they were FaceTiming with their kid who was across the country also doing the class. That's just so cool. So silver linings. I'm glad that you're here. This is a beginning level yoga class, so that means that this is for everybody. This is a do what you can kind of a thing. So if that means you need to lay down and take Savasana right now, that's totally fine. But that's also why I mentioned the use of having a block, a blanket, or a strap available to you, or something similar to these things that you might have at home to help make the practice a little bit more accessible for you. So do what you can, go deeper if you need to, back off if that's a better idea. This is your practice and your time. Time is a funny thing right now. So this weekend, we're all creating these new routines for ourselves. And for me, my routine involves working, spending time with my dog. I've been watching a lot of news. And over this past weekend, I really noticed a lot of different kinds of articles and news stories about the power of meditation and encouraging people to meditate during this time of quarantine, especially if you feel like your walls are closing in on you or dealing with stress or other challenges that you might have going on. And meditation is a tough one because it's one of those things that I think a lot of people find to be inaccessible. And I've tried to figure out the reason why. I've tried to figure out how can I better impart a meditation practice on my students. Yoga, that physical practice that we do, the asanas, a lot of people would call that a moving meditation. And truly, that final posture we do at the very end, Savasana, that's that final resting posture. And that's supposed to be the culmination of the practice. And traditionally, until it made its way to the Western world at least, that physical practice of yoga was intended to open the body up so that you could then sit for hours upon hours, or however long, meditating. But I think that the challenge comes, one, that people have a perception about comfort levels in terms of their body when they're sitting for meditation. But secondly, this idea that meditation means that you're not thinking. And I think that for a lot of us, especially if we're of a certain age, we think of the transcendental meditation movement when it came to the United States. And that just sounds so unattainable. It sounds like you're levitating and thinking of nothing, and there's colors around you or some sort of magical thing. And maybe it feels that way, but there are other types of meditation. And more recently, mindfulness meditation that comes out of the Buddhist practice has become more common in the Western world. And it is not the idea of not having any thoughts. Because if you don't have any, if you don't have any thoughts, there's no way that you wouldn't know that you weren't having the thoughts, because then you were thinking. I know. So, rather than trying to figure that one out, meditation, rather than this idea of creating a blank mind, which is really something that's in technology or in robots, not in sentient beings. But it's this idea, it's a technique or a training of our awareness or our attention. And that can be found in different kinds of ways. It can be found through focusing on your breath, looking at the flame of a candle, through chanting, through being in a very familiar sequence of movements. All of these kinds of things can be a meditation. Washing your hands very mindfully for 20 seconds, just being present with your hands in the water. That can be a meditation. So looking at things, chanting, I don't know, it's still really hard. It is really hard. It's it is a practice, just like yoga is. And as I was putting this class together this weekend, and just really coincidentally seeing all of these different articles and news stories and that sort of thing, I was also spending a bunch of time walking my dog, because I've been doing way more of that now that I'm home more. And so there's two types of walking your dog. There's the walk that is for your dog, and then there's the walk that you think is for you, but is for your dog. And the walk that's for my dog is usually his pace. He's checking stuff out. He's sniffing over here. He's chasing a squirrel. He's scared of a truck. He's thinking about something else. He's hungry. He's scratching his ear, all kinds of stuff. And it takes a really long time. When I want to take him on a walk, I want us to just go and not stop and not smell the things and not do the extra wiggling and chase the squirrel. I want us to just go. My dog, his name's Kevin, by the way. He's very small and cute. Kevin's behavior when he's being himself, going on that walk, is just like our mind. There's all these things going on. It's like, the squirrel. I'm hungry. I'm scared of that. I want to chase after that. Oh, wait, where's the stick? Right? So that's a lot of what our mind does. And so we're going over here and going over there a lot like Kevin is. I found a trick because I have not yet been able to train my dog to meditate. However, I figured out a way to help him find a single point of focus so that when we're on our walks, he's not tempted by all of these intruding thoughts and stimulus like we have in our mind when we meditate. So when I walk my dog now, if I want the walk to be more for me, I give him a stick. And if he holds on to the stick, he has a single point of focus, he has a purpose, he has a task. And in doing that, all those other things fall aside. And that's what meditation is. And what you have to figure out for yourself is, what is the stick for you? Is it dancing? Is it sitting? Is it laying down? Is it chanting? Is it singing? It could be anything that connects you to the present moment and brings you this single point of focus. So that's a lot of stuff, but it's a great opportunity for us to practice this idea together tonight. That meditation is everywhere and that there are all these different ways to do it. There's no one right way, and it's a practice. So if you're trying it, you're not doing it wrong. So give yourself a break, open up to this idea of like, hey, if you're new to meditation, we're going to try some of that out tonight. And if you're already a regular at meditating, maybe you'll pick up some new tips. So with that, we're going to begin by laying on our backs. So I think that oftentimes there's a misperception that meditation needs to be done in an upright seat, like what I was just doing. And while that is a very traditional method, many of us find that to be uncomfortable. And laying down is a completely legitimate meditation posture. So make your way onto your back. And we're going to lay all the way down, bringing the soles of your feet together, letting your knees be wide with your arms down by your sides, and begin by just nestling into the floor. And what I mean is finding length in the back of the body, aligning the vertebra. And don't worry about how close your feet are to your body. Just let the feet be connected and let the knees be wide. You're looking up towards the ceiling, or your eyes are closed, and you're feeling the firm support of the floor beneath you. Bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. And as you breathe here, let the breath begin from the lowest part, so the hand on the belly. As you inhale, letting the belly and hand rise, mid-chest rises, and then the upper chest and your upper hand rises. As you exhale, the chest lowers, middle chest, and then the belly lowers. And you can sigh as you let the air out. And do a few more rounds of these full breaths, inhaling from the bottom of the belly all the way to the top. As you exhale, sighing the air out, letting go of your day as you quiet the body and the mind. See if you can keep your focus on this breath, inhaling to rise, and sighing on your exhale. If you find that your mind starts to wander like my dog does when he doesn't have a stick, do your best to bring your attention back to your breath. Remember, this is your body and your practice. So if you find any time when you're meditating that the body is uncomfortable and there's something that you could do to adjust and make it more your own, do that. After your next exhale, sigh. Let your breathing return back to normal. Usually that means not thinking about it too much. And we'll begin our practice tonight by chanting the sound of Om together. And as I mentioned, chanting is another focus for meditation. You can chant as softly or as loudly as you would like, and we're going to chant the sound of Om together. We'll chant it just one time. Take a full exhale and a full inhale for Om. Release your arms down by your sides and let your eyes flutter open. Using your hands, gently guide the knees together and then hug the knees in towards your chest and just gently rock from side to side or front and back. Place your right foot on the floor and extend your left foot up towards the ceiling. We're trying to create a right angle with your left hip and also with the ankle. So the foot is flexed up towards the ceiling. I'm pressing my left thigh away from the body. And then I'm also pressing my right foot into the floor. If you have a strap, this is a nice opportunity to use one where we'd wrap it around the bottom of the foot, holding on to either end of it and pulling down. If you do not have a strap tonight, that is totally okay. I invite you to bring your hands behind the thigh, and then everyone just flex the toes back towards the back of the mat. And gently press into the right foot, almost so that you're lifting your hips up off the floor, but not quite. Because we're just getting a little bit of action here, and then we're pulling the leg a little closer to the body. So we're active in the right leg because you're pressing into the foot, pulling the left leg a little closer to the body with your hands or with a strap. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed down on the floor. If you're using a strap, take the straps into your left hand Everyone extend your right arm out to a T. If you don't have a strap, use your left hand to guide the leg open to the left side. Your right knee is still bent, right foot is still connected to the floor. You're looking up towards the ceiling. Steady breath. Bring your awareness to anywhere that you're feeling tightness or holding. Inhale to guide the leg back up to center and extend the right leg straight out on the floor. If you're using the strap, take either end of the straps in each hand and gently pull down as you pull the leg closer to your body. If you don't have a strap, extend your arms out to a T. If you're using a strap, move them into your right hand, and then everyone gently guide the left leg across the body for a twist. Do your best to keep your shoulders rooted and both feet flexed. And you're in control here, so you decide how far into this twist you go. And it may depend on how your hips or your back is feeling. Maybe your foot is close to the floor, or maybe your foot's up closer towards the ceiling. Wherever you're at, as long as you are listening to your own body wisdom and adjusting accordingly, you're doing it right. As you inhale, guide the leg back up to center. Take either end of the strap in each hand if you're using one. Otherwise, hands go behind the leg as you pull it a little closer to the body. Bend your right knee, once again, placing the right foot on the floor. Point the left toes up towards the ceiling. If you're using a strap, you can set it off to the side and place your hands around the shin. And then relax the foot and do some circles with the ankle. And switch directions with your circles. Nice. And come to stillness. Lower the left foot down to the floor. If you're using a strap, grab a hold of it and put it around the bottom of the right foot. Everyone extend your right foot straight up towards the ceiling. And then get yourself situated here. So make sure that there's a right angle going on in the right hip and that your foot is flexed. If you're using a strap, you're pulling down on either end of the strap as you press the sole of your foot up towards the sky. And if you're not using a strap, your hands are behind your thigh as you push your foot skyward. Steady breath and relaxed shoulders here. If you're using a strap, bring the straps into your right hand. Everyone extend your left arm out to a T and gently guide the right leg open to the right. If you don't have a strap, you can use your hand to guide you. Do your best to keep your left hip rooted, keep the left knee pointing up towards the ceiling. On your next inhale, guide the leg back up to center. Take each end of the strap in either hand or hands behind the thigh as you press the sole of your foot up towards the ceiling, opening up the back of the leg. And then release the left leg straight out on the mat. Nice. And you're either taking the straps into the left hand or you're extending both arms out to a T. Gently guide the right leg across the body. If you're using the strap, your right hand is extended out to the side. Both feet are flexed. If it feels good, maybe turn your head towards your right hand. On an inhale, guide the leg back up to center. Bring your hands around the thigh or shin, or using the strap, pull down on either side as you pull the leg a little closer towards the body. Then the left knee, place the left foot on the floor. If you're using a strap, set it off to the side and bring your hands around the thigh. And then point your right toes up towards the ceiling. Point them as much as you can, opening up the top of the foot and the ankle and shin. And then relax the foot and do some circles with the ankle. Nice, and switch directions. All right, come to stillness with the foot, flex it up towards the ceiling, pull the leg a little closer to the body. Nice, and then lower your foot down to the floor. Hug both knees in towards your chest. And then from here, we're going to start to rock back and forth and rock your way up to a seat. And we're going to make our way into a tabletop position on all fours. And this is a great opportunity to use a blanket if you have tender wrists or knees. Get yourself all set up. We're aligning the shoulders over the wrists. The hips are over the knees. On an inhale, drop the belly, drop the chest, and take a look up towards the ceiling for cow pose. As you exhale, pull the belly in, round the spine for cat pose. Inhale, drop the belly and chest, and exhale, pull the navel in towards the spine, tuck your chin, press the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. To do that, you're pressing into the heels of the hands. Take a couple breaths into the shoulder blades here. And then come back to a neutral spine, flat back. Bring all of your awareness to your hips and your tailbone. And keeping everything else in the body still, begin to try to draw little tiny circles with the hips, little isometric circles. And then as you do this, see if you can let the circles get bigger. And also let go of the fact that maybe you're making ovals rather than circles. That's totally fine. We're just going in one direction, getting bigger and bigger. So going from this little teeny isometric movement to like moving the whole body, going forward and back. Maybe your knees and hips are cracking a little bit. As long as it doesn't hurt, that's not a bad thing. And then we're going to switch directions. So switch directions. We're doing the big circles, moving the body forward and back. And then envision and create this little spiral situation where you're starting to make the circles smaller now. So we're working our way inward so that eventually we're just making little circles with the hips. Nice. Come to stillness with the hips. Walk your hands forward just a couple of inches. Walk your toes back just a couple of inches. And we're going to make our way into plank, top of a push-up, Utthita Chaturanga. In this posture, the shoulders are over the wrists. The legs are straight. Heels are lifted and core is nice and strong. Keep your hands and feet where they are. Press into the hands and move your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. In down dog, your hands are shoulder width apart or wider. Feet are hips distance apart. And then just alternate bending each knee so that you're getting some movement in the hips, pedaling out the feet. Come to stillness with the legs. And then walk your feet up towards your hands so that you come to a forward fold at the top of your mat. In forward fold, your feet are hips distance apart and parallel. You're hinged at the hips and your hands are connected to something. So that something might be a block. It might be the floor, your shins, or depending on how open you are, maybe you've got your hands on your thighs. But we're looking down at the floor, relaxing the head. Bring your hands to your hips, press into your feet, and come on up to standing. Nice job. All right, shake it out a bit if you need to. If you're using blocks tonight, do have them up at the top of the mat for yourself. So we've explored some breath work in meditation. We've explored a little bit of chanting. Present moment awareness is also another focal point for meditation. So find yourself here in Tadasana, or mountain pose. Feet are hips distance apart and parallel. You're lifting at the arches of your feet. Legs are engaged through the calves, through the thighs. Core is engaged, lower belly, ribs are tucked. Release your arms down by your sides as you stand up nice and tall. Can you make yourself a little bit taller? Notice yourself actively pressing your feet into the floor as the crown of your head lifts up towards the ceiling. Nice. Inhale and float the arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold all the way forward. Inhale up halfway to a flat back. Hands come to the hips, press into the feet, and come on up. All right, find that mountain pose again. That's like the key to all of the yoga postures, is that engagement and that present moment awareness. Hands are on your hips and you're nice and strong in the belly. As you inhale, reach the right arm up overhead. As you arch over towards the left side, we're looking down at the floor. So I'm turning my head to look at the floor, staying strong in the belly. And then turn your head so that you're looking towards my direction. And then if your neck allows, take a look up towards the lifted hand. Exhale your way through center and over to the other side. So right hand comes to the hip. As you inhale, left arm comes up overhead. Lots of space on both sides of the body, and you've turned your head so you're looking down on the right side of your mat. And then turn your head so you're looking towards me. And then up towards the lifted hand. Inhale and come back to center. Nice. Find mountain pose once again with the palms facing straight ahead. Feet or hips distance apart and parallel. As you inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Take a look up. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Belly is strong. As you exhale, hinge at the hips and swan dive, folding forward. Uttanasana or forward fold. Connect your hands to something, the floor, blocks, shins. And then gently step your right foot back to a lunge. And get yourself set up here. So front knee is aligned over the ankle. Back leg is straight. Back heel is lifted. My hips are buoyant here. Your hands are either connected to the floor, so maybe your palms touch. Maybe your fingertips can connect, or maybe you have blocks available to you. But remember, in this posture, we're looking to pour the weight into the legs. So these blocks are for a little added balance. So I was practicing this at home over the weekend, and rather than using blocks, I was using pillows. And I wasn't squishing them because I was just barely putting my hands on them. So food for thought, if you don't have blocks, you want to try something else out. This is long enough for this lunge. Make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. If you need to drop your knees first, go for it. But we've got the shoulders over the wrists. The belly is nice and strong, so you're pulling in just below the belly button, and your tailbone's pointed towards your heels. You're welcome to lower down in one straight line, or you can join me in dropping your knees, pointing the toes, and using the strength of your arms to come all the way down. Hands are underneath your shoulders, toes are pointed. As you exhale, gently peel your chest and shoulders off the mat for cobra. As you exhale, lower back down. Tuck your toes and work your way back to downward dog. You can go through tabletop on all fours, or you can do a push-up. But we'll all end up in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a couple of breaths here. Take a look at your hands and walk your feet up towards the top of your mat, coming to a forward fold. Bend your knees, press into the feet. As you inhale, reach your arms wide all the way up overhead. Connect the palms and exhale. Bring your hands to heart center. Nice job. So that was the first half of a sun salutation. And I mentioned that another element to meditation is when you find a flow of movement that it becomes like second nature to you. And sun salutations can become that the more familiar you become with the yoga practice. It's a pretty rote sequence of postures. So that was one side. We'll do the other side together. And perhaps you're learning something new about sun salutations, or maybe this is an old friend that allows you a bit of meditation. So stand up nice and tall, Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up, take a look up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. This time, let the left foot step back to a lunge. And then make yourself as comfortable as you can be. Front knee over the ankle. Hands are connected to the floor or blocks, or you're staying really strong in your legs and hovering the hands. lots of length through the back of the neck. And gently make your way back to plank, top of a push-up, nice and strong here. Full steady breath, doing what you can. And then you can either drop straight down or you can drop your knees first, point the toes, and bring the torso all the way down to the floor. Release your arms down by your sides with your palms face up. Squeeze the legs together, and again, engage the abdominal muscles. So squeeze the glutes, pull the low belly in, and as you exhale, lift everything you can up off of the floor. So chest, fingertips, toes, and exhale to release. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes, and either through top of a push-up or through tabletop, make your way back to downward facing dog. Take a look at your hands and walk your way up to the top of your mat, coming to a forward fold. Bend your knees, inhale, reach your arms wide as you come on up, and bring your hands to your heart. Nice. So, meditation through familiar movements, but interestingly, we can also find meditation when we're introduced to something brand new that we've never done before, or something that can be very difficult. I'm not saying we're doing that, but that can be a thing. Find yourself up at the top of your mat with your feet hips distance apart and parallel. Inhale to float the arms up. As you exhale, sit back. Utkatasana, fierce pose. Some people call this chair pose. In this posture, we're shifting the weight in the hips back. Your knees should not be blocking your view of your toes because we're really shifted backwards here. Arms are up by your ears. Steady breath. Nice job. All right, bring your palms together in prayer position in front of your heart. And then take a look down at your feet. And in your mind's eye, envision a square box around your feet. So there's an imaginary square around your feet. You're right in the middle in your amazingly strong Utkatasana, fierce pose. Strong and steady. Begin to shift your weight more towards your left foot. Take your right toes and point them up to the upper right corner of your box. And then bring the right foot back. Start to shift your weight towards the right foot. Take your left toes and point towards the upper left corner of the box. And back to chair pose. Oh, there's 4 corners. Isn't this great? Start to shift your weight towards your left foot. Now your right toes are going to go to the back right corner and back underneath you. Shift over towards the right, and your left toes are going to go to the back left corner, and then come back to chair pose. Nice. So notice how when we're trying something new, maybe exerting ourselves a little bit, it makes it harder for those distractions to intrude. And I'm still talking, so you're still feeling it in your quads, right? All right, exhale, hinge at the hips, fold all the way forward. Let your head relax. Grab opposite elbows. Gently let the torso rock from side to side. Nice. Release the elbows. Bring your hands to your hips. Press into the feet. Come on up to standing. Nice. Find your feet hips distance apart and parallel once again. If you happen to be using a block this evening, you may want to have it up towards the top of your mat. If you use a block, remember they are 3-dimensional, so you get to decide how tall it is. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it. All right, here we are, mountain pose. Begin to shift your weight more towards your left foot as you free your right foot. And see if you can create some space between your right foot and the floor. And then just gently step your right toes back to a high lunge. And then make any adjustments you need to make this more comfortable. So maybe scoot your left foot more towards the edge of the mat. Maybe scoot your back foot back more. or inward. It's up to you. You have to see what feels good for you. Stand up nice and tall here. As you inhale, reach your arms up overhead. If it feels good, you can sink your hips down a little bit to really open up through your right side. Connect the palms overhead and bring your hands to heart center. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Begin to pour your weight into your left foot. Notice I'm dragging my right toes behind me to come a little bit closer. My left hand is coming to a block or the floor, and I'm trying to get my right foot up off of the mat. This is the beginning of half moon pose or Ardha Chandrasana. So tonight you might be working on trying to get your hands connected to the floor or a block and maybe get some space in this right foot. If this is a posture that's familiar to you, perhaps you're already lifting that right foot and you want to try stacking the hips or even lifting the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. And if you are looking for a final challenge, shifting your gaze up towards the ceiling adds a little extra level of difficulty. There should be very little weight on the block. And wherever you're at, gently make your way back to that high lunge that we were in. Boop. Nice. Kick off the back foot, come on up to the top of your mat, shake it out a little bit. So for some of you, you've practiced that posture before. You're familiar with it. Others of you, you're like, wait a minute, this is the beginning yoga class. Why did we just do that thing? This is all a practice, yoga, meditation. But gosh, when you're working on trying to balance on one foot with one arm, what a great way to meditate. For some of us, that's fun. For others of us, that's frustrating. But it certainly provides you with a single point of focus. So a couple of tips with Ardha Chandrasana. Number one, be kind to yourself. Give yourself credit for trying this thing out and doing your best. Number two, it's a practice, so we're building into it. Remember, engagement is the key, so staying strong in the standing leg and in the core. And then finally, looking at something that's not moving, so don't worry about looking up at the ceiling or anything else. That should help. So give yourself credit, be kind to yourself, and hooray, because we have two sides. Look at all these different, we had 4 corners, 2 sides. We get to do all the stuff tonight. So find yourself nice and tall at the top of your mat. Begin to pour your weight into your right foot and start to shift the weight, maybe even finding space between your left foot and the floor. But wherever you are, you're standing up nice and tall, and then gently step your left toes back to a high lunge. And once again, make any adjustments you need to, moving the right foot, scooting the left toes back, whatever you need. See if you can get solid here. As you inhale, float the arms up overhead. And if it feels good, you can sink your hips down a little bit to get into that left quad and hip flexor. Nice. Keep squeezing in at the thighs and at the belly. Connect the palms and exhale your hands to your heart. Release the hands, and left hand is going to come to the hip. If you have a block, have it at the ready at the top of your mat. But we're going to start to pour our weight into the front foot, which is the right foot. If you're able, maybe you can get some space between your left toes and the floor. Your hand comes to the block or the floor. If you need to bend your knee to do that, that's totally fine. If you're able to create some space and get your leg to hip height, maybe you can try stacking the left hip on top of the right, or reaching your left fingertips up towards the ceiling. And remember, balance is one of those things that can change from day to day, from side to side. So give yourself credit for where you're at tonight. If your hand's lifted, bring it back to your hip. Everyone gently make your way back to a high lunge. Woo! Come on up to the top of your mat and shake it out. So I'm not kidding. The thing about balance changing, it does. And what I just did right there was a little bit messy tonight. I don't know why. I practice these postures all the time. So tonight might have been your night. Like you might have been solid and rocking it, or you might have had a little bit of wobbling. either way, like that's the great thing. This is a practice. We're here to connect to ourselves and get a little more grounded. Nice job. Oh, the time's going by too quickly, you guys. Find yourself in mountain pose at the top of your mat again. Inhale and float the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Inhale up halfway to a flat back. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way down. Bend your knees, reach your arms wide. Come on up. And hands come to heart center. Step your right foot back for warrior two. So take a nice big step here. Back foot's parallel to the back of the mat. Front heel aligns with the back arch, and then you're bending into the front knee. Shoulders and hips are facing the side wall. Inhale, arms out to a T. And then turn your head so you're looking over your front hand, which is the left hand. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Let your weight pour into your feet. And as you inhale, straighten both legs, straighten your arms, connect your palms overhead. As you exhale, hands come to heart center. You bend into the front knee and come back to warrior two. Inhale, straighten the front leg, straighten the arms. Exhale, hands come to heart center, bend into the front knee and back into warrior two. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, create length. Exhale, bending into the front knee. Warrior two. Inhale, straighten the legs, straighten the arms. Exhale, warrior two. Last time, inhale. Exhale, hands come to the heart, bend into the front knee, and warrior two. Bring your hands to your hips, kick off the back foot, come on up to the top of your mat, shake it out a little bit, and then other side. So step your left foot back, and we're aligning the front heel with the back arch. Back foot's parallel to the back of the mat. Your hips and shoulders are facing the long edge of the mat as you reach your arms out to a T. And then turn your head to look over your front right hand. Make sure your feet are grounded, your shoulders are relaxed. And then again, let's make this connection between breath and movement to find a little bit of a moving meditation. So as we inhale, straighten the front leg, straighten the arms, connect the palms. Exhale and come back to warrior two. Inhale, straighten the arms and legs. And exhale, warrior two. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, bend into the front knee. One more time. Inhale, straight arms, straight legs. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Bend into the front knee and back to warrior two. Nice. Bring your hands to your hips. Kick off the back foot, come on up to the top of your mat, shake it out a little bit, and then let your feet be wider than hips distance apart. Let your knees be soft, let your shoulders be soft, and we'll just do some empty coat sleeves. So let your hips lead you as your arms are soft by your sides. Use your breath and really enjoy taking some full, complete breaths here if you can. All right, and then let go of the effort as you let yourself unwind back to center. Nice. Find your way up to the top of your mat once again, mountain pose. So action in the legs and in the core. Arms are down by your sides. Inhale and float the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Step your right foot back to a lunge. Again, line up the front knee and the front ankle. Right hand comes to the floor or a block as your left fingertips come up for a twist. If you don't have a block, you can always come on the fingertips, press into the feet and have some space, or use something else like a step stool or a book. Nice twist through the thoracic spine here as you reach the fingertips towards the ceiling. Exhale to lower the lifted hand. Make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. Nice and strong here. And if you were like, oh, I wish that I just had a little bit more plank tonight, do feel free to float your right foot up off of the floor a little bit. And if you weren't missing plank tonight, that's totally fine too. Steady breath, nice and strong. If your foot is lifted, lower it, and then move your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Strong and steady. Engage your inner right thigh and lift the right leg up for three-legged dog. So this is just like down dog, but with one leg lifted. You might find that your hands are slipping on your mat. That is a sign of a slippery mat. But that means that you are pressing into your hands, which is what you should be doing. So nice job. You can stay here or bend the lifted knee, stacking the hips. If you do that, we're keeping the shoulders square to the front of the mat, and the right knee is the highest point on the body, and it's like the right foot is heavy. We're opening up through the right quad. Straighten the lifted leg, lower the foot down to the floor. Make your way up to the top of your mat, coming to a forward fold. Hands come to the hips. Inhale to come back up. Nice. All right, one more side. Find your mountain. Inhale, reach the fingertips up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. This time we'll step the left foot back to a lunge. And again, left hand comes to the floor or a block as the right fingertips lift for a twist. Bending into the front knee, stacking the shoulders. Exhale to lower the lifted hand back down. Make your way to plank, Utthita Chaturanga, top of a push-up. Core is nice and strong. If you want to hover your left foot off of the mat, you're welcome to do that. If your left foot is lifted, lower it, and then move the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pedal the feet out a little bit, moving the hips. And then come to stillness with the legs. Get nice and strong in the inner left thigh and lift your left leg up for three-legged dog. And just like any of our yoga postures, it isn't as important how high you lift the left leg as how grounded you are in your hands and in your right foot. You can stay here or bend the lifted knee and stack the hips. Straighten the lifted leg, lower the foot down to the floor, and then drop your knees and come on into child's pose. So big toes are together, knees are wide, and you're moving the hips back. Make a connection between your forehead and something. So maybe that's the floor or a block or your fists. Child's pose or balasana is a very meditative posture, allowing you to instantly turn inward and block out all of those distractions. As you inhale, let the torso rise back up and scoot around to a seat on the mat. Nice. All right, we'll set these off to the side. So we're going to bend the knees, feet are flat on the floor. Sit up nice and tall with your hands behind your thighs. Engage your abdominal muscles, so lower belly tucks in, ribs tuck in. On an exhale, see if you can get your feet off of the floor for Navasana or boat pose. And this might be plenty for you tonight, but if you want to mess around with it, Navasana can be a fun way to explore some meditation as we stay really focused on this balance. So see if you can bring your shins to parallel. Remember, the rest of this is all optional, your choice. If you want to free your fingertips from behind the legs, you're welcome to do that. If you want an added challenge, take your peace fingers and see if you can grab your big toes. Notice I have to bend my knees pretty deeply to do that. This might be plenty, or maybe you're able to straighten one leg or two legs. Maybe you can do like a V seat or a W seat. But if you're doing like an M seat, that's totally fine too. Whatever you're doing, you're trying the thing out, and that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So keep breathing, stay nice and strong. Wherever you're at, bring the shins to parallel, hands behind the thighs. As you exhale, come to a cross-legged seat and sit up nice and tall. Bring your right fingertips behind you and your left hand on the opposite knee. As you inhale, lengthen the spine. As you exhale, twist to the right. Unwind back to center. Switch the crossing of your legs so the opposite leg is in front. Bring your left hand behind you, your right hand on the opposite knee. Sit up nice and tall as you twist to the left. As you exhale, unwind back to center. From here, make your way onto your back. And you can do that however you like. If you want to do the slow decline with the abdominal exercise, you're welcome to do that. If you want to just lay right down, go for it. And once you are on the floor, find a nice long spine so that the shoulders are nestled down on the back, so that your vertebrae are as aligned as they can be. Arms are down by your sides. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh and bring the legs in towards the body, keeping both feet flexed. If you want to bring your hands around your left thigh, you're welcome to. But I'm keeping my arms connected to the ground tonight for this reclined figure 4. Exhale and release both feet down to the mat and switch sides. So cross the left ankle over the right knee, bring both legs in towards the body. And you decide how close you want the legs to your body. It might depend on how you're feeling in that left hip. Exhale to release, and then extend both feet straight up towards the ceiling. Try to create 90-degree angles with the hips. Your feet are flexed here. Press the low back into the floor. Reach your fingertips towards the sky, and as you exhale, see if you can peel your head and shoulders off of the mat as the fingertips get closer towards the ceiling. You should be using your abdominal muscles here, so no effort in the neck, just a strong core. As you exhale, gently lower your shoulders and head down to the mat. Release your arms down by your sides and lower your feet to the floor. Hug your knees in towards your chest and gently rock from side to side or front and back. So we started our yoga practice tonight with a reclined meditation, and we will end with a reclined meditation in Savasana. And you have a few options, because like I said, it's really important that you're comfortable in the body for meditation. So for our final resting posture, make sure you've got whatever you need, socks, long sleeve, your blanket, and you have a few options. One option is to have the feet wide on the mat and let your knees fall in on one another while your arms are down by your sides. This is nice for folks who have tight low backs. Option 2 is to bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees be wide like we did in the beginning, Supta Baddha Konasana. And a traditional version of Shavasana is extending the legs straight out on the mat with the feet mat width apart and relaxed off to the sides. If you want to take a traditional Shavasana, but it's uncomfortable for you to have your legs straight, this could be a nice place to take a blanket, roll it up, and put it underneath your knees for greater comfort. Wherever you are for your Shavasana, the shoulders should be nestled down on your back, arms are down by your sides with your palms face up. Your eyes are closed. The muscles of your face are relaxed. Connect with your breath here. Feel the firm support of the floor underneath you. And with every exhale, just feel yourself melting into the floor, into the mat, softening and relaxing. I will ring a bell for us when it's time to come out of Savasana. Slowly allow your breath to deepen. And let some movement return into your fingers and your toes. Just a little bit of movement to bring your presence back into your body. On your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead and extend your legs out nice and long for one long final stretch. And then bring your knees in towards your chest as you roll onto your right side. Using as little effort as possible, keeping your eyes closed. Come on up to a seat and sit up nice and tall when you find that seat. Hips nice and even, shoulders relaxed, crown of the head extending up towards the ceiling. And bring your palms together in prayer position in front of your heart. I'm hoping that maybe I've dispelled some myths about meditation tonight, or opened you up to the idea that meditation can be whatever it is that connects you to yourself and to the moment, whether it's breath, chanting, hiking in the woods, giving your dog a stick, whatever it is that works for you. We'll close our practice tonight by chanting Om, and we'll chant it just one time. Take a full exhale and a full inhale for Om. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you with great respect. Namaste. Thanks so much for coming to class tonight. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about meditation and that you can help integrate this practice into your current life. My name is Amanda. We'll be doing this again next week. Please tell your friends and family. I can't wait to share more yoga with you. Take care.